Hey you guys, welcome to Alex and Andy live from Shanghai, China on Monday, the 23rd of May 2022, which is day number 53 of a citywide lockdown here in Shanghai as things slowly begin to move back to normality. Just quickly, we have a brief show today, no new videos to show, so we'll power through it, you guys. Coming up on today's show, obviously the new numbers, 55 plus 503, which is slightly down on yesterday. And again, 0 community infections. I think that is the third day in a row, which is great news. Unfortunately, though, we did have one more fatality, bringing the total death toll of this outbreak to 585. The big news today, if you can call it that, is details about the new venue code we're going to need to use across Shanghai once things get back to normal. We'll talk with our colleague Yang Jian about that very shortly. And in other news around the world, monkeypox, like we didn't have enough to worry about with this COVID-19 situation. President Joe Biden has said that the United States has enough vaccines to deal with a potential outbreak of monkeypox, and extra efforts are not needed to prevent its spread. So at least that is some good news. Alex, what do you think? Have you been thinking much about monkeypox?
Monkey. No,
Let's start monkeypox.
Well, okay. So I obviously did a little research on it a couple of days ago when the news was coming out, and it seems that from what I understand, there's cause to be concerned, but also not cause to sort of be less concerned. Monkeypox is, obviously we've all heard of chicken pox, which when I was a kid, a vaccine for yet, and we all just I got it when I was 4 or 5. And you get it once and then you're immune. I think monkeypox is similar to that, the pox type of viruses that give you like sores on your body or blisters and things. But yeah, so it's not nearly as contagious as something like influenza or obviously COVID-19 is. But so normally, I mean, monkeypox has been around for a really long time. It's not like COVID was a new thing. There's no novel monkeypox, I don't think, as far as I understand it.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, it does seem like this one has been spreading a little bit more quickly than normal monkeypox. So that's not great. But at the same time, it doesn't seem like it's going to be something that is going to take over the entire world the way COVID-19 has. So hopefully hopefully monkeypox is something that we see in the news for a week or two and then kind of disappears. But it does seem like, I mean, I'm no doctor or whatever epidemiologist, but it does seem like it's not quite as big of a problem. I mean, I think we're all really wary at this point of any sort of news like this.
Yeah.
But I again, we'll see. The world is weird.
Let's honestly, let's just hope that it goes away, like you said, a week or two. I think it is just a matter of everyone's hypersensitive now because of the COVID-19. Especially those of us here in China, especially those of us here in Shanghai. It's just like, I can't tolerate another problem like this. There are some images here on the screen of some of the symptoms of monkeypox. Doesn't look nice, but I've heard as well that it's not really something that is a huge concern. It's something that kind of goes away. But of course, it's not something you want to catch. Right. So I'm going to cross that off, get rid of that, and go back to our lovely
the lungs, the way that your viral pneumonias like COVID are, and so while it is something that you certainly don't want, similar to shingles, I think so. Shingles is anyway, I'm not going to get into it, but so let's hope that it doesn't become a bigger problem, too much bigger problem than it already is. How's the weather today in Shanghai? It was really nice for most of the day. Very sunny, blue skies, scattered clouds here and there, really nice. Now that I'm able to go downstairs but not outside, I went downstairs. I have a football, an American football. I don't know where I put it, but I have a football. And we were down there throwing the football around, because you throw that football, you kick anyway. Yeah. And so that was fun. And it was really nice. And then right around 4 o'clock or so, clouds blew in. It got really windy. And then it got cold, and it's pretty cold right now. It says it's 21. I don't know. 21. It feels colder than that, certainly to me. I closed all the windows. 21 is about 70 Fahrenheit. So, that's what it is. And it looks like it's going to rain. So I'm 16. It's going to rain tomorrow. So that's, okay, I guess I'm not going to go throw the football tomorrow, right?
Sounds good though. I mean, I quite like the rain, especially when you're inside. Kind of comforting. I don't know about you, but it's kind of something I started liking once I came to China, because it's like back in New Zealand when it would rain, it would be really quiet and nothing happening and really depressing. So I hated it. But when I came to China, it's like even if it's raining, there's still a lot of stuff happening, so it's not as depressing. I don't know if you found that.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's different. Of course, where I'm from is a place where we have sort of like a subtropical climate. And so it rains pretty much in Florida. It'll rain about once a day in the summer, around this
At the same time, right?
Yeah, right around, sometime between noon and 4 p.m. it'll rain for 30 minutes or an hour, but it'll be a really hot day. And so you just take a break from swimming or playing out at the beach or whatever you're doing or having fun, and you go have lunch, a late lunch, and then when you go in the restaurant, when you go in the house, it's raining, and when you come out, it's not raining, and it's actually cooled the air down. So rain there is really awesome. It's a great thing. Whereas here, I feel like it's all right. It does get some of the humidity out of the air sometimes, which I do like.
Yeah, but I do find as it heats up, of course, when it rains, then it becomes muggier and more manure. So that's hideous. I'm not looking forward to that, but I guess that's what it's going to be like very quickly as soon as we get out, if all things go to plan. For June 1, let's hope. Hey, you go ahead.
No, I didn't. You go ahead. Next topic.
Yeah, I was just going to say we should bring in Yang Jian. I just have one quick question for him today. Where is he? There we go. Yang Jian, hello. I wanted to ask about the big topic today, which is the venue code. We got some more details about that today in the press briefing and stuff. As the city gets back to normal, that's something we're going to need to use. So I wondered, what kind of benefits it offers. And I also wondered if anyone's had any concerns about privacy issues with that app.
Okay, maybe after the announcement today, the venue code scanning may become a key part of our daily life after the full open up of the city, apart from the PCR testing. And if a citizen takes the metro to go to work, he or she might have to scan at least 3 different venue codes for 6 times every day when enter and leave the community, the company, as well as when take the public transport. And the purpose is to check the identity, health information, and the latest PCR test result. And most importantly, to record the trace of the citizens for the epidemiological investigation during this COVID resurgence. And for the concerns you mentioned about the personal information leakage, the city's big data center said the personal information collected from the venue code will only be used for the epidemiological investigation, and no company or individual should use the data for any other purpose. And he said the principles of the personal information collection is minimum and adequate for the epidemiological investigation, and all the scanning records will be encrypted and under strict safety management to prevent any leakage or abuse. And about the benefits, the key benefit of this venue code is the COVID epidemiological investigation will become more accurate and swift. So any future community transmission can be contained more effectively, which is the key to the dynamic zero COVID strategy. And previously investigators traced the close contacts of positive cases mainly with telephone interviews, on-site investigation, or by reviewing the surveillance cameras. But with the venue code, the close and the secondary contacts can be found more easily according to the venue codes scanned by the confirmed cases. And secondly, with this venue code, we no longer need to register our information by writing down the name, ID number, temperature, and the phone number at the entrance of local culture venues or hospitals, which is quite low efficient and also with risk of cross-infection because everyone used the same pen. And now all we're gonna to do is scan the venue code, receive the temperature check, and show the mobile phone page to the security staff. So the venue code is expected to become one of the key weapons against any future coronavirus resurgence, along with the PCR test and, of course, vaccination. And the code has actually been promoted to many other Chinese cities, such as Beijing, Southwest Chongqing, and East Shandong province. And since it was initiated in Shanghai's Putuo district in late March, which is also the first downtown district to achieve the zero community transmission. Andy.
Excellent, Yang Jian. As always, a lot of details there. Thank you so much. We will not catch up with you tomorrow because we've got a concert, but we'll catch up with you the day after that. Awesome. Bye-bye. Oh, lots of information as usual. Alex, are you ready for using this venue code every single bloody day?
I guess I'd better get ready because it seems like it's something that's going to be around for a while. But personally, I did kind of anticipate this sort of thing that we would have to be, actually. What I had personally, I didn't want to speculate on the show, but what I had anticipated before the announcement of this news a few days ago was literally exactly this. I was right exactly in my mind in thinking that there would be a code that you have to scan at every place and you have to have a 48-hour PCR test because it does comport with sort of what we've been having to do. It's just, obviously a higher level of registration than what we had before. Obviously, during the COVID era, but pre-March surge and cases, to go into a lot of most places, you would just have to open your app and show your QR code on your phone. If it was green, and then you could get in. But that's just showing it to somebody. This is going to actually register your personal information at each indoor venue you go to, and presumably some outdoor venues as well. And I guess the idea behind that is if someone's positive, then they can easily do all the contact tracing without having to do too much like CCTV camera investigation and stuff like that.
Yeah, it'll definitely make things a lot easier when it comes to tracing. Actually, I find now that I think about it with hindsight, it seems like we're actually quite relaxed here in Shanghai for the past 2 years, especially with our metro system. Obviously, we didn't have to show any codes or anything. We just had a temperature check, usually automatic, and then we were fine. But when I went to other places in the past 2 years, obviously Wuhan, also some cities in Dongbei and things like that, to use the metro, they're very, very strict. And you do have to scan those codes. As you said before, this system will actually, show where you've been, at what time exactly, and it will make it a lot easier for tracing back. So it looks like, we're stepping up the procedures in our normal life. It's going to be a new normal. But I think actually we're probably just coming back into line with a lot of parts of the rest of China and what they've been doing for the past 2 years already.
Yeah, it seems that's possible. I really haven't done a lot of traveling since COVID began. I haven't left the country at all, but that's mainly because it's tough, to do a 14 or 21 day quarantine upon return. It's kind of not very time efficient for us who are working people, and I'm sure all of our viewers understand that and have dealt with the same issues. But beyond that, I haven't really traveled around China too much. I have have made a couple of trips, for example, for Chinese New Year and things like that. But beyond that, I really haven't. Normally, I'm somebody who really does enjoy traveling around the country. I've been around the country really quite a lot. But all of that was really pre-COVID. And so I haven't been on any other cities' subway systems in a few years, Beijing, Guangzhou, Qingdao, there's a whole bunch. And so I don't know. So I don't have your experience in terms of knowing how other cities have handled it up until this point, in terms of what the sort of the levels you have to go through to get into places like the subway. Obviously, it does stand to reason that if we're trying to prevent the transmission of COVID, the subway is probably the number one place in which it would be spread. It's inside, it's crowded. It's something that a lot of people use. Because it's the necessary sort of conduit for transportation here in the city. So okay, we'll see. I guess that's how I don't know how long it's going to last. Of course, none of us know how long any of this is going to last. But it seems for the foreseeable future, we're going to need to scan our venue code, which means we're going to be doing a whole lot PCR tests. So everybody get mentally prepared for that.
We'll find out in the future, I guess. But yeah, I reckon it makes sense, to be honest. Not the PCR every 48 hours. That's not something I'm necessarily looking forward to. But I reckon using public transportation, like you said, the metro is where a lot of people are crammed together. I think it makes sense, and especially if it can be done through one code and it's all pretty painless, then I'm all good. But here is, because Young Dian mentioned a lot of information. If you want to read a bit more in a bit more detail, everything he said there, especially if you're living in Shanghai and this is going to affect you, you can head along to shine.cn, and his story is right there. What were you going to say, Alex?
No, I was just going to say, if we're going to adhere to the system, and it appears like we are, as I've said several times, the important thing is that it's efficient and it's easy, and a minimal number of people slip through the cracks. I think we've seen our biggest sort of stumbling blocks here throughout this entire episode have come when people have sort of fallen through the cracks of these different systems for one reason or another.
And climbed over the cracks as well. We had a bit of a situation there. I think the internet has bunged out on me. I don't know if it's Alex or me. Let's see. I'll just keep talking. We had a situation recently where somebody climbed into a lockdown area for a hookup. So that was a bit annoying. Let me know if the connection's okay, you guys, because Alex is frozen for me.
Trouble.
You there?
I'm back.
Oh, was it you or me?
It was me. No, I was just saying that, I think the problems have come when people have slipped through the cracks. I was giving the example of, when it started with the people in the international community not being able to set up different, your PCR testing codes and all this type of stuff. Yeah. And I think, if this system can, obviously it's something that we're going to have to get used to and going to have to deal with it, like it or not. And so I think it's important that it's at least easy to use and manage. And we can get easy and frequent PCR tests, and that the results show up quickly so that then we can use it. Otherwise, it'll be really hard to go anywhere, right? So let's hope that it's efficient, and then we can just go on about our lives in this new post outbreak sort of phase.
Yeah, for sure. I was just mentioning while you were cut off, Alex, I don't know if you heard, but speaking of slipping through the cracks, mind the pun. Somebody recently, I won't mention the company, but a viral story in Shanghai over the past few days, somebody snuck out of their compound and into another compound, both lockdown areas, for a hookup, and they were caught. So that's another, I don't know if you've heard of that story, Alex, but it was kind of funny.
Yeah, it is funny. Yeah, you don't want to be doing that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's don't do that.
Don't slip through the cracks. Yeah. Anyway, somebody has mentioned by scanning venue QR codes in Hong Kong been scanning for over a year now. Mandatory scanning and vaccine code scans to enter restaurants, bars, and gyms and public venues. That is the case. Oh, sorry, I'll get rid of this because I'm covering your face. That's the case with a lot of cities in China as well. Like I mentioned before, I've been to, unlike Alex, who's opted not to travel recently, I've actually traveled quite a lot in the past 2 years to quite a few places. And most places will require scanning and codes and everything, whereas Shanghai, in my experience anyway, over the past 2 years has, in retrospect, seemed quite relaxed and we haven't required many codes or scans or anything like that. I don't know if you have the same experience, Alex.
Yeah, here and there, like I mentioned before, here and there, showing your green QR code every now and then. Government buildings and other places like that. I remember some places you actually had to scan your QR code into their machine, and then it would record you there. I think that's going to be something similar to what we're doing now, but that was really pretty few and far between. I'm curious, and maybe Royston can answer this for us if he sees it while we're still on stream. What I'm curious is, is there PCR testing requirements in Hong Kong? As we mentioned, you'll need to get a PCR test every 48 hours, a negative test, obviously, every 48 hours for that code to work here in Shanghai. Do they have anything like that in Hong Kong? Is it based on PCR testing results, or is it just based on whether or not you've traveled to high or medium risk areas? I'm curious about that.
or whether or not you've your GPS has crossed paths with somebody who was a case.
Right,
I don't know.
yeah.
You might remember, Alex, we had a guest on, Livia, who is from China, and she's studying in Hong Kong. And she said, actually, for her, in her experience, the whole system's been quite relaxed over there. For example, positive cases don't need to go into lockdown and stuff. So I'd be interested as well to find out how the code, the QR code, really works in Hong Kong. So Royston, if you're still there and you can, do let us know. That would be awesome. Just in the meantime, though, I'll quickly flick to, I just mentioned before when we were speaking to Yang Jian, our live stream is going to start slowing down a little bit as things get back to normal. So every second day now we will have a day off, and we will be showing some live shows actually in what's the word? 跟谁合作? In 合作, cooperation with Shanghai's Grand Theatre, which you guys might be interested to have a look at. Here is the list. Alex, I know you got the news today that we can bring our show back to 2 days, but have you seen the list?
Yeah, just very briefly. But yeah, pull it up for us so we can sort of look at it together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I haven't managed to have a look at it.
So it's going to be, it's going to start tomorrow at 7 p.m. and it'll be every other day at 7 p.m. And then on the days in between, we will continue to have our show at 7:30. So we will be back on the day after tomorrow, the 25th. Looks like the first one is based on Hamilton, the Broadway show Hamilton, which is a show talking about the one of the founders of the U.S., Alexander Hamilton. It's really an acclaimed Broadway show. Have you seen it or any bits of it, Andy?
No, I haven't seen it, but I know not last year, at the start of the Trump presidency, Mike Pence, I think, went to a show of Hamilton to somewhere there on Broadway and had a bit of a situation. I think it was the same show.
Yeah, well,
it looks interesting. To be quite honest, I haven't followed. I don't follow much of the US's political history. I just keep what things are going on now. Do you recommend it, Alex?
Well, I haven't obviously seen it. I've not been able to go to New York to go to see a Broadway show, but I have seen little bits and pieces of it here and there. And yeah, I'm a fan of this kind of stuff. I mean, I'm not a huge Broadway guy, but there are some shows that I've seen and I do really enjoy it. And it looks like it's really well produced. And the story of Hamilton is really a pretty interesting one. Obviously, growing up in the U.S., I learned a lot about him in history class and things like that. And he's got a pretty interesting story, which I guess is why they made a Broadway musical about him. So yeah,
it'd have to be interesting, wouldn't it?
I think so. What else have we got down here?
Oh, there's documentaries as well, which is pretty cool.
Wonderful. I'm a huge fan of documentaries. Documentaries have really sort of helped me get through this lockdown. I've watched a whole bunch of them. Nature documentaries. Obviously, I'm getting a lot of my Planet Earth in and my David Attenborough and stuff like that.
David Attenborough,
and some other.
You know what I really missed?
Go ahead.
You know what I really missed, Alex, is when History Channel used to have
history.
Interesting stuff. Like, what's happened? Why did it suddenly change now? It's like,
man, I don't know. I think I always, and I sound old. I'm really not that old, but I do sound old when I say this. Is when I lament the sort of the collapse or the social, like the shrinking of people's attention spans, and I don't think a lot of people necessarily have the patience to sit through an hour-long documentary about a war or a historical figure, and so it's more of this weird sort of culture. Stuff rather than here, but you would think. Look, it's okay. I'm back. You would think that there are enough channels that show pop culture, clickbaity stuff, and that we don't need the History Channel to do it too. But
it's like this is even longer ago, Alex, when people look back and say, "Oh, remember when MTV had music?" Now it's when History Channel had history. Now it's just reality shows and stuff. I think, yeah, it is reality shows on history.
That's bizarre and shouldn't be the case. But anyway, what else have we got here? Hamlet.
Well, I want to see this one. Looks good. Les Miserables. That should be. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I've always been interested in that, so that'd be cool to see.
Yeah.
ABBA, not so much. Beatles, yeah.
No, less so for ABBA for me. I know ABBA is obviously a really popular band. And they got a lot of fans, but I would prefer the Beatles. I find the Beatles to be a fascinating story. Of course, they were before my time. But I really do find them to be a really fascinating story. And yeah.
What are the Beatles' names?
George Harrison, Ringo Starr, Paul McCartney, John Lennon, right?
Paul McCartney. I have a friend who was Paul McCartney's personal travel agent, very recently until COVID hit, obviously. He used to book all of his family's travel, all of his personal travel, including organizing security in airports and passes through the VIP areas and stuff like that. So just a side note there. That's all stopped now.
Right. Well, for now, more Shakespeare. Pretty cool.
Romeo and Juliet. Awesome. So yeah, these all look pretty cool. But I do want to note really quickly, if you guys are watching now on my Reports on China YouTube channel, you won't be able to catch these shows through this same channel. So what you'll need to do is head to Shanghai Daily. You can probably watch on the Shanghai Daily YouTube, I guess. If not, do follow Shanghai Daily on WeChat, and you can watch it there. Kevin James. You go ahead.
No, I was saying I'm not sure. Well, I guess we can confirm with you shortly if it will be available to watch if you just go to our shine.cn webpage. I'm not sure if it'll be accessible from there.
Good question. Producer, if you're listening, which you should be.
I know a lot of our viewers overseas don't necessarily have WeChat or use it regularly.
Exactly. Yeah, so let's see. If you're listening, let us know. We did have a reply from our friend in Hong Kong who said, no PCR tests are needed. For my role, we're going to do RAT, so there's antigen tests daily, and send in the results to our employer. It doesn't link to our health code, but if we test positive, we report it there. Then I guess all of the venues we've scanned into will ping anyone who has scanned in at the same time, telling them to be tested. So that sounds interesting, a little bit different to what we'll go through here.
Okay, good. It is. That's good information. Thank you for that. It does seem like, obviously we're under a significantly more stringent sort of situation here. But it looks like it's having some success, and I hope everyone in Hong Kong is staying safe and is also able, while being safe, to get about their business and their lives. And hopefully we'll be able to do that again soon too.
Yeah, thanks for that, Royston. Good information. Just back to this, the detail here about the live streaming shows. Unfortunately, my producer has just told us that it won't be available on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook due to copyright issues. So you'll have to watch through WeChat, which you can, I guess you can watch from overseas, even if you come through WeChat, you can watch from overseas through that. So you can download WeChat if you haven't already, and you can try to follow Shanghai Rubao Shine on there and to check it out, which would be pretty awesome. The shows look pretty good, to be honest. And that is in association with the Shanghai Grand Theatre, which is where the copyright issue comes in.
Makes sense. Yeah, I'll definitely be checking out. I don't know if I'll make all of them, but I'm going to try and watch as many as I can. Obviously, I've sort of carved out this spot in my day to do this show for the last couple of months, and so it's a free space in my day. So I suppose I can use it for watching these shows as well.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, what I was going to do really quickly, since we don't have much else, is just check out these numbers again. Obviously, 503.55 numbers are going down. I'll zoom in. You can see now we've got to go quite far in to see any slight changes, which is good news. And also, 0 cases again found in the community for the 3rd day in a row. And as we mentioned on previous shows, 3 is the lucky number. And if we come down here, unfortunately, my district, Jing'an district, still has quite a few cases, and so we are still completely locked down. And it's one of the only central city. And now there are 3 central city districts where people are still not allowed to go back outside. I have always not been allowed. 2 came back in.
Yeah, it was a little bit unfortunate just with what happened. Obviously, I know this was the case in your district, Jing'an, and I live really close to Jing'an as well. In that people were issued passes, but then some more cases popped up, and those passes were revoked.
Canceled.
So that's really, that's really sort of a 扫兴. How would you say that? Really a sort of a
很可惜.
drag, not great, but sort of a buzzkill. That's sort of like,
Right.
and
It sucks. Because for me, I've always been, we haven't been given passes, so it's kind of, I haven't had the up, so I didn't get a big down for those people who had their passes cancelled. That kind of sucks. But I think things are heading in the right direction. There again, those central city districts, you can see actually now, Alex, it's not looking good for most districts. I said 3, but it looks like more have slipped back down. Now it's just Changning and your district, Putuo, which are in the white, in the complete 0. So people in all of these places, Jing'an, Hongkou, Huangpu, Xuhui, and Yangpu, are in the crap. Not in the crap, it's still fine, but you're not being issued passes out.
Right. Yangpu is the one district where we've seen a few outbreaks recently. And so hopefully they can get that under control. And so we can all move forward together. Yeah.
Yep, for sure. Hey, now let's get rid of that and stop talking about COVID. Really quickly, we do have some quick show and tell, Alex, and I want to show you some things. I'll show mine first because it's not as fun of a story as Alex's one. But you guys might remember my elderly neighbors who I help out sometimes. They feel really buhai, so they feel really like they need to do something for me, which kind of sucks. Like when we have deliveries from the government, I always bring theirs up. And yesterday, the elderly gentleman knocked on my door and gave me another little gift again, which I feel really bad taking because this is obviously something he's collected, and I wish I could give it back. But if I give it back, that's going to be really quite a little bit rude. Yeah. So I accepted it anyway. He shoved it in my hands and pulled my door shut, which means just can take it. But it's a really cute little. I don't know who it is, but it really has a lot now because of the story with the lockdown. It has a lot of meaning to me, so I will probably hold on to this forever. He also gave me a plate as well another time when I gave him some pork I showed you guys last time. So yeah, just a little cute story of neighborly connections here during the lockdown. Yeah. What are you going to ask, Alex?
So I found this. There's a thing that I bought about.
I'm going to make the screen bigger for you because you've got more to show.
The thing I bought when I was in Beijing about 8 or so years ago, and I've never used it. And I was just sort of, I took the opportunity to do a little bit of, not a lot, but a little bit of spring cleaning throughout this lockdown, and I came upon this and I'd totally forgotten about it because I never used it. But I was at a very small pub that I used to like to go to whenever I made a trip to Beijing, which used to be relatively frequently. And it was sort of this little hole in the wall place with a lot of 60s and 70s era, like 50s, 60s, 70s era decor. And they were selling this little set. And in China, of course, there's the Chinese zodiac, which is the that's the 12 animals, right? It depends. I'm the year of the dragon. I'm not sure which one you are, Andy, but everyone's a different animal from what year you were born. And there were these little glasses. I don't want them. I guess I can show you if I do this. And it's one with each animal. Yeah, and they're steel or they're metal of some sort. And if you pull them out, so I'll just pull the dragon out. Sorry for the squeaky noise. Since I'm the year of the dragon, and you see it's a little glass. Right?
Oh, it goes that way.
Yeah, you can put. It's on. Yeah, so if you can it'll stand up. Right? It stands up like this. Right? But if you flip it over, it's got the nice, the intricate sort of dragon head on it. And we've got all 12 animals. We've got the tiger here, since that's this year, right? This one here, and we've got you've got the ram, the goats rather here, the ram, the goat.
So can they sit on the table on the middle part? Oh, they sit flat.
Yeah, wow. I'll pull the dragon out again. Yeah, I'll just sort of I don't want to drop it, but yeah. And I think that's the reason why I haven't used them, is because I'm just so afraid of dropping one and breaking it, because, it's the set of 12. You need to have all 12. And so if you drop one and break one, it kind of really ruins the entire thing. And so rather than use them for actual drinking of anything, I actually just sort of keep them in a box. Yeah, I would say I could put them out somewhere on but I don't have. I have cats, and that's.
Yeah. No, that's not a good idea.
Cats famously love to shove things off of tables and break them. So, I am probably just gonna leave them in the box, and then I don't know, figure it out later. But yeah, I just thought it was a pretty cool thing that I dug up the other day when I was cleaning up and throwing away some old junk.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it how when you buy stuff like that in China, they all seem to come in those old kind of boxes with the old design on them.
Yeah.
I've got so much stuff like that stuck away in the places. So maybe we can show some more on some upcoming shows. But on that note, I think that's about all we have time for today. I'll just mention again, in case you've just tuned in, we won't be back tomorrow. We will be having having every second day off now, in lieu of some live performances in connection with the Shanghai. What was it? Shanghai Grand Theatre. So you can watch some live shows which look really awesome every second evening by following Shanghai Yubao Shine on WeChat. But again, that's all we have time for today. We will see you. What's today? Monday, Tuesday.
I have no idea. Monday.
Yeah. So I always forget. We'll see you guys at the same time on Wednesday, and hopefully we'll have 2 days of really awesome news for you guys. Until then, take care.
All right. See you then.